I just got this Avalanche for 320,000 miles on it for super cheap. I scored. Or did I? Let's find out.
Oh, is it? This looks like a whole lot of Hoovie right there.
This is Hoovie's garage, 2008 Chevy Avalanche. You guys have seen a couple of videos on his channel about it already. Today we're going to talk about how he got this for 3,500 bucks with 326,000 roughly miles on it. And we get to pull out the cart full of parts today, and every part you're going to find is cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. As we're working our way back, we had just a few items he wanted addressed, and we keep finding more and more. Things that you can't turn a blind eye to. There's things seriously wrong with this vehicle, and it just keeps adding up. There are times, if you're knowledgeable about vehicles, or if you're maybe even a mechanic, we've purchased in the past vehicles we know have known problems, and they did have those problems. We were able to fix them and save a little money. In the end, you come out ahead. But then there are times when you purchase something sight unseen, you bid on it, you got a really low price on it. I'm going to show you today how the $3,500 that was spent on this vehicle will need to be spent a second time, another $3,500, maybe even $4,000, just to get this sorted out and make it daily drivable. Will it still be worth it? Yes. But if your budget was $5,000, you spent $3,500 on buying the vehicle, you may run out of money. You'll be like, I probably shouldn't have bought this thing. With a vehicle with this many miles, 326,647 to be exact, I don't care what brand it is, it's going to have a ton of deferred maintenance, which now you get the pleasure of getting caught up on or get caught back up on. As long as you're fine with that, like Tyler is from Hoovie's Garage, he knows he's going to put that kind of money into it. He knew before we even started. It'll probably be at what the vehicle is worth when it gets done. So really, he probably won't save a lot of money, but sometimes you can. Let's go ahead and take a look around this Avalanche. From the front, this Avalanche looks like it could be actually a nice vehicle in good condition, not needing a whole lot of work. It can be deceiving. So it has a lot of miles, but it shows well. It's got a little bit of fogging on the headlights, but it's not terrible. Maybe this one's not so bad. So it doesn't look like it, but it has a lift kit on it. It had these really huge General Grabber tires on it. Those are expensive tires, although they're a little bit worn out. You think you're getting a really good deal. You've got some mods here that you were probably going to do anyways. We're going to show you how that was a bad idea. It is the Avalanche Flex Fuel model. And one thing I want to show you here in the tailgate and the bed area is that when Hoovie bought this vehicle, it had the panels that go across the top. You know, the Avalanches have these usually 2 or 3 panels that go here. At the auction, before he took delivery of it, someone at the auction stole them for their vehicle. I don't think that they've even found them yet or even found the person that did it, but that was crazy. I feel sorry for Hoovie on that. That was kind of a bum deal. And down the side you can see the typical Avalanche plastic turning gray, very common, especially the ones that were cladded on the side, on the lower parts of the doors. But overall it's in decent shape. Let's let Mrs. Wizard show you guys around the interior. There's something in there that's going to add to the bill.
Okay, ladies and gents, look at that sea of cyan back there. Okay, kind of a blue-green color, really. But it says 326,738 miles. That's just insane. And the gauge cluster looks good. It's a classic design. I'll go ahead and take my hand off our light so we can see it better. The very classic design says Z71 back there. So, okay, a lot of the gauges we need, blah, blah, blah. But as we move up, this isn't stock. No, because, well, the Grand Canyon was trying to lay residence up there and had this entire dash was just disintegrating. And so this is an aftermarket reproduction, not original OEM. And Junior Mint has been working to get it installed. You know you're doing major car repairs when you have the household drill and drill bits out. Yikes. Not exactly automotive material here, but sometimes you got to improvise when you got this many miles on a car. But as we move down, okay, it's looking good, nothing too bad. Oh look, we have the game Simon right there going on our HVAC controls. And also we've got a few things missing here, here, and here. Once you know what those buttons do, you really guess you don't need to just tell you what it does. As we move back, we've got a nice catch-all, got some cup holders. One thing that's shocking is the only part on the armrest that is damaged is right here where the person's elbow usually goes when you know, hop up into the car. So that's not so bad. As we move this up, you'll see, okay, it's nice. It's fairly clean in there, especially for this many miles. Oh, look, there you go. There's one of Hoovie's pennies. And here, the seat, now remember, the camera picks up every blemish, every flaw. And so we are seeing some discoloration on the dove gray section, probably from sun damage. You look at the leather, it's not broken. I've seen cars and trucks with less miles than this where you can see the foam guts already spilling out. So looking good. Door card also looking good. We have more of that dove gray with accented with a really dark charcoal. This is an Avalanche, so we do have room for 5 people in here, and we should be able to knock down that window to get a pass-through all the way back. We actually, the Wizard and I, owned an Avalanche for many years, and it was a quite handy truck. Headliner's in good shape. So we're back at the steering wheel. Imagine how many hours this steering wheel has been gripped. And knowing that there's that 300,000 miles on here, it's looking okay, but it's showing its age, I guess. So let's get the hood open and see what's going on underneath there.
So it's kind of dark under here. This is our 5.3 liter VIN code 3. And yes, this is the years of active fuel management. Some of these are the most reliable trucks you can buy is the early 2000s Chevy Silverados half tons with the 4.8, 5.3, but I often say not to get the active fuel management because in order to fix the issue if the lifters go bad or cam damage, the heads have to come off. It's usually a $4,000 or $5,000 job. A lot of people email me, ask me how can I delete this, mechanically delete the whole system. Again, it's a complete heads off job, $4,000 or $5,000. The way they design the LS motor is to get the lifters out, the cylinder heads have to first come off. So all new head bolts, all new gaskets, all new everything. It adds up really fast, the labor as well. They are a great engine. This one's got 320-some thousand miles. Has it had a new cam and lifters by now? I don't know. But it's still alive, it's still going, so that's pretty amazing. Other than that, these are bulletproof engines. They are amazing engines. They can go 3, 4, 5, 600,000 miles fairly easily. They're easy to work on. Parts are plentiful. One of the things, before we get the cart full of parts over, is when Hoovie bought it, he didn't notice until after he purchased it and started driving it, he started smelling antifreeze really bad. Let's get the cart full of parts over here.
Ooh, we get to watch a movie now.
That's what these originally were for, these carts. They were the TV carts from the 80s and 90s that me and Mrs. Wizard remember. You young guys probably never had these, but I got them cheap and they work great for parts. You can see a whole cart full of parts. All these parts are bad. We're still not done. There's even more things wrong with this vehicle. It started off, though, definitely with this radiator. Let's find out what went wrong. Before we removed the radiator and replaced it, the old one was spraying antifreeze like a mist everywhere, all through here. The battery was coated. The frame down below was coated. The ECM here was coated in antifreeze. It was pretty bad. It was also had a stream spraying right on the exhaust manifold, which makes it extra smelly. The side tanks, the actual plastic, is what was causing it. Let's take a look. Right here you can see some cracks in these ribs. Right there. There's about a 3-4 inch long crack all through the side tank right here. This is very likely the original radiator, and just from age, the plastic got brittle, and with pressure it just cracked. I've actually heard people say, why can't you just rebuild these, put a new side tank on, be back in business? This has 320,000 miles on it. It's probably pretty dirty, and here's the crazy thing. It would cost $200, maybe $300 to get this cord re-tanked with new side tanks, new gaskets and everything. It's cheaper to buy a brand new radiator. It doesn't make any sense at all, 0 cents, to fix this old one. It actually costs more. It's going to be a common theme on all the parts we're going to show today and the things we found wrong, that it's cheaper to buy a new part than it is to try and rebuild or try to repair the old stuff. One thing it had a problem with was the battery was bad. It was flat toast. You could charge it overnight, it still would be dead. So down here we have the old Duralast battery. I'm not sure how old that one is, but it is a goner. We have a new one on order. These are known to have issues with the exhaust manifold bolts breaking and having exhaust leaks. This one luckily didn't have that. And really there wasn't much else wrong up here. So now let's get this thing up in the air. The next thing it has is the AC wasn't working. And what's really common on these LS-based motors is this. On the older models, they have their own belt and their own little tensioner. Sometimes the tensioner can freeze up and throw the belt, or the belt itself just snaps and breaks, and AC turns off. You have no more AC. That wasn't the case here, and the compressor's fine. It just had some bad Schrader valves, and we recharged it, and it's happy again, so we got lucky there. But like I mentioned, this has a lift kit on it, and the lift kit itself has caused the damage you're about to see. Not age, not the brand of vehicle, it's the fact that they lifted it. I am not a fan of lifting trucks because it takes the usable life and cuts it in half. So, a lot of you also wonder, when I check brake pads, how do I know how thick they are just at a quick glance? And while the wheels are off, I'll show you real quick and then we'll dive into the parts. So right here is the pads, and you can see the distance of the metal part of the pad between that and the rotor. I can tell right there these are about 50% remaining. I've seen so many sets of brake pads in my life that I can look at a vehicle and tell what they probably originally were versus what they're at now, kind of at the width of the rotor and different things. I have failed to be wrong yet. When I say something's got 20% or 10% or 50, it's usually right on the money. So that's how I tell. So now let's look at these parts. So we'll check out the suspension. You can see the tie rods. They do have a torn boot, but they're still good. I always say use them until they start having play in them, and they currently do not. Strut is dry. The rack, although the boot is kind of off, it just needs a new clamp on it, but it's not leaking. We'll probably put a new boot on it since this one is cracked as well. But you do see a new CV shaft. We've got that installed, and also a new wheel bearing because it has a lift, kind of a puck, or what they're called, a block. This is not supposed to be here. This lip right here that I'm touching should be way up inside this tower. So this is like a 1.5 inch or so 2-inch lift to lift the entire system. As you can see, it puts the CV shaft at a really horrible angle, and it's very hard on them. When you run them at a severe angle like that all the time, especially when you're going over rough terrain, it just wears out the boots, it wears out the joints. They're constantly at a severe angle. It's really hard on them. I've actually seen lift kits pull the entire socket out of this and just completely pull the CV shaft apart. Now there's one other thing that was added for bigger tires so they could fit bigger tires for the width that caused more damage. These are spacer blocks. It shows it's like 1.5 inch, all the measurements and things there. This puts the wheel out further away from the vehicle so you can fit wider tires, and that puts undue stress on the wheel bearing. You can see inside of here, we had to put a new wheel hub bearing in because it was completely destroyed. Here's our wheel bearing, and I don't even know how Hoovie made it here. I'll go ahead and pull this little shield off. It just fell off when we took it apart. You can see there's no grease in there, and the rollers are shot. Listen to this, guys. Had this vehicle not had a spacer and a lift kit installed, that hub bearing may actually still be good today. It wears all the suspension out twice or 3 times faster than average. If you got the money to spare, you don't need lunch money for your kids, you can go ahead and put it into your vehicle, but it can be very costly when you start wearing stuff out when they shouldn't be. So Hoovie was actually here just a little bit ago, and he was looking around the Avalanche, and he said, "Wizard, is there a way that we can take those suspension lift kit and take these spacers and just yeet them into the trash?" I said, absolutely. I would love to yeet this garbage in the trash. So we're going to go ahead and remove those hockey pucks, or whatever you want to call them, from the struts up front. We're going to yeet these spacers in the scrap bin. And around back, when we get back there, we're going to also take care of the lift kit there. We're going to get some smaller, the correct size tires, and it'll be a happy camper again. But wait, there's more. Let's go to the other side. Again, this spacer will be removed, and also that lift kit block up there will be removed, but we did have to put a CV shaft on this side as well. Let's take a look at that CV shaft. This one was just starting to split. You can see it right in through here. The rubber's just about ready to tear, and this had already torn here. And that joint almost doesn't move, it's locked up. These types of things that we're seeing here don't happen in a week's time. They happen over a couple of years. And slowly gets worse and worse to the point where you don't even realize it until you take a friend with you to go shopping or something, and they're like, man, this thing drives terrible. You're like, what are you talking about, man? It's fine. So they let you drive their truck, and you're like, oh my God, this is so nice and smooth. It's like, yeah, bro, something's wrong with your ride. It can actually, over time, you get used to it. So make sure you have inspections done on your vehicle. And again, as we're looking at this, obviously Tyler buys this to show you guys what kind of pitfalls you can get into and whatnot, but the correct thing to do would have been, if this was at a lot or something, or a private seller, pre-purchase inspection. I keep preaching this. This could save you all of this trouble. So we got our front end taken care of, our engine taken care of. He's had an issue, which is common with these trucks, is where you go to start it, and it's lost all of its fuel pressure back into the tank. And there's a check valve inside the fuel pump that fails. Although the pump still works, you have to turn the key on and off a few times to get it to prime back up again. But wait, there's more. Let's go back to the fuel tank. So some people say I drill a hole through the bed and I can get to the fuel tank. I think that's the most backwards thing to do. In fact, I've offered it to a few customers who really didn't have the money. They're like, you know, I don't have enough to do the fuel pump. And I say, we can drill a hole through the bed. I don't like to do it, but we can. And 99% of people say, oh, hell no, I ain't having you drill holes in my car. So really, most people don't want that done anyways. We properly removed the tank down to replace this. This is our fuel sending unit, fuel pump, all in one unit. This also has the fuel tank pressure sensor. The check valve is actually part of this pump, and it goes bad and the fuel just drains right back into the tank. But with 320,000 miles on it, it's not much more just to replace the entire unit. You get a brand new fuel sending unit, because you know that's going to fail next if you just do the pump only. Or the fuel tank pressure sensor or various things. Put the whole new unit in, and while we had the fuel tank down, Hoovie mentioned there was a check engine light for an evap vent control solenoid. Let's show there was more wrong there. It just keeps piling up. But wait, there's more. So we removed the vent solenoid, which is up here. You can see that it's right there, and some of the hose that runs along the top of the tank for the evap system had tons of black bits in it, like charcoal. Which means, as you can see, it has a brand new charcoal canister. It had gone so bad it was spitting charcoal bits all through the entire evap system. I'll show you what I mean. Here's our old charcoal canister, and yes, there was some starting to get into the fuel tank itself. It was so bad. Take a look, guys. Really not supposed to be doing that. So we're only halfway through all the parts and things that are wrong. Did you really get a good deal on this truck? Did you really? Sometimes you don't. You have to really be wary about this. That was a couple $300 for that, just for the charcoal canister and a fuel pump. And all these parts are adding up into the thousands really fast. While Junior Man was doing his job, I really applaud him because he keeps a keen eye out for other issues and things while he's working along. And he came and got me. He said, Wizard, I'm seeing a lot of gunk. It's clean now, but it was oily gunk coming out through the shield and dripping out of here, and it was actually the axle seal. We know, some of us who work on cars, on this 10-bolt rear end, you don't just pull the axle shafts out. You have to take the differential cover off first, which you can see has been removed. Remove the center shaft out of the middle to be able to push the axle shafts in enough to get the clips out. This is all that holds your axle shaft into your vehicle when you're going down the road. Just this. I'll show you where it goes. Right in through here. It just slides in. right into there, and then you push the axle out, put your shaft back in. And there's no way you're going to replace a rear axle seal without doing all this, unless you want to get your cutting wheel and cut the axles off. I don't know how else you're going to do it. So I'll put this away so it doesn't get lost, but they did some damage on top of the seal leaking. It caused more issues. But wait, there's more. As you can see right here, something goes there, and that's your parking or e-brake, whatever you want to call it. And it should have a lot of life left in it. We normally would not have to replace this, except for it's completely contaminated and ruined with gear oil. And the rotor as well. We can clean the rotor and reuse it. But this is no good. I would not put this back on a customer's vehicle. So everything I just showed you adds up really fast. And then we're going to get 4 new tires. Hoovie said go ahead and order them in. 4 new all-terrains in the correct size, stock size for this vehicle. And he said please do away with the lift kit, which is labor. We got quite a list and a cart full of parts to get this thing right. Let's get this back on the ground. Now some of you really like lift kits. You like your vehicle to have lifted and everything, and I get that. As long as you've got the money for when things start to fail prematurely, and they will. If this vehicle would not have had a lift kit, Hoovie's bill would literally be cut in half. Half the things that are wrong with this vehicle would not have had to been replaced. Just keep that in mind. How much longer your vehicle can last and how much more life you can get out of it if you just stay away from the lift kits. If they're properly done, you get the correct control arms and get the angles and the geometry right, they can be pretty cool and pretty good. As you see here, most people don't do it right. So already we have a couple, $3,000, and we're probably going to find more before it's all said and done. The purchase price of this vehicle that Hoovie has into buying it, he'll have to spend a second time again to make it right again. So you're at auction or you're looking at a private seller's vehicle, it's got high miles, and you think, I could get a really cheap vehicle and I can be in the green here. I can really be doing well. When in fact, you may have set yourself back further than you were when you started. Be careful with that, guys. This is what this video is all about. So if you're curious what kind of tools we've used to work on this Avalanche or any other vehicle in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. All the tools we use in the shop are listed there for sale, and if you purchase anything, we get a small cut and really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button because there's many more great videos to come. Thanks for watching.